Welcome to Insport the Talk Show. My name is Marian, Asante Fordjour, and I'll be your host. Today, we're going to talk about criminal justice system, especially the probation in the youth and gun violence that is happening in London at the moment. I have wonderful guests with me today, so I'm just going to start from my right.
My name is Archbishop Kwaku Frimpong Manson Samenshia, being British Empire medalist. From Reconciliation International, a community-based program. She oversees the youth, mentoring the youth, bereavement support, and doing a lot for the community, like generally, with the police, with the mental health, and all the rest.
Thanks, welcome there, thank you. To my left, got a wonderful guest with me as well, and I'd like him to introduce himself.
Yeah, my name's Joseph Hezekiah. I run an organisation called MBG Group. So basically what we do, we help equip people with the right philosophy, skill set and attitude for them to fulfil purpose. So it's kind of like mentorship and guidance.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for honoring our invitation. So let's just go straight into the main discussion. So there has been a lot of gangs and knife crime going on, especially in London, for the past 12 months, I would say. And, you know, we can see there are a lot of institutions that has been laid down in this country. But the question is, are they not effective? Are they just more to prevent, you know, these incidents from happening, or are they more of a punishment or deterrent sort of agency? So what do we think? Is the question clear?
The question is very clear. My issue with the system at the moment is, for example, let me tell my story. So once you're known as an offender, which is someone that's committed a crime, whether it be fraud, drugs, etc., right? You've committed a crime, you then go into the system. When you go into the system, if you're lucky, you'll get an FA. If not, then you tend to go to court. When you go to court, you get given a probation officer. Now your probation officer rates you on low, medium and high risk. So low is someone that's never been in the system before and is probably a once-off offend. Medium and high risk is someone that's a continuous offender, and high risk is usually when your offences are physical. So you're high risk now to the community. Now once that happens, they have now your future in hand, where they will say, okay, to the judge, actually maybe he should go to jail or give him another chance.
Bishop, so you've worked along a lot of, you know, leaders and young people that have actually been in crime, you know, perpetrators and also victims of crime. Do you want to shed light onto, you know, your involvement as a community leader?
There with the awareness we did called Condemn last year, October. Yeah. We were there where the parents of the victim came to shed tears. And,
yeah, it was very sad,
very
shocking.
Solemn moment. But we are still working on it because it is escalating. Yes. And we all have to come together. We are still preparing. I've written to the Commissioner of Police that should allow us to come to have a rally at Trafalgar Square somewhere.
Come back to that because that's very interesting.
Yes.
Definitely need to get this on board. So with me I have a lovely young man, Joseph Frimpong. Joseph Frimpong, you know, has lived on a Broadwater farm estate, which was notoriously known in the past in North London. So just for him to sort of share his own experience, and you know, as a young person growing up on a massive estate which was notorious for, you know, gang crime, knife crime, even the McDuggins case, you know, it was leading on that. So just welcome, Joseph. Thanks for honouring our invite.
Thank you for having me, Marian. Okay, so concerning Broadwater Farm, I've been living there with my family since I was 1 year old. I can remember the first time I ever got robbed was for my ice pole, lollipop. I was 5 years old. I was robbed. The guy was way older than me. He took it and I started crying. From there, I saw petty crimes. I never saw murder until I think there was a case where a man got killed in our block. He was shot 3 times in the head. You
mentioned also that, I mean, you've experienced, obviously, being robbed on your estate. And
twice, actually.
Twice, and also, you know, having friends, seeing friends, in fact, going in and out of prison. So do you think that once they come out of prison that there's any, like, leeway for them to actually get back onto even a night shift work, or is it even difficult?
Can I say something? Even those that go prison and come out have better chances than those who have never been in prison before.
You reckon? What sense?
I've seen it. We have a family member, a family friend. I won't mention his name. He used to live in the same block. He went in for 10 years. He went in for 10 years. And he came out. Today, he's a mental health nurse.
So you're saying that there are...
He studied nursing in prison.
Wow. That's...
And since he come out, he's never come back to Broadwater Farm. He lives in Kent, married an English woman, and they're moving on. He goes on holiday at least every 3 months.
Okay, so you're saying then is a personal mindset. Is if where there's a will, there is a way, right? Yeah. Is that what you're saying? There's not really everything the government is not helping me to get where to be. It's more of yourself.
Because you're classified as you're vulnerable. You get me? So there's opportunities in these countries.
Sometimes they are confined in prison to go and change their life. I know the lady too who has been in prison. Now she sit down with the queen and all these things, and now.
So there are sexual
that's
cases
even
then.
We can talk about her.
Yes.
I know who you're talking, and we don't have to mention her name. She went to jail for how long? 6 years.
Yes.
Now she has how many restaurants? About 3 restaurants.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Moving on.
So then that means that the system is helping some then in a way. It's given some second chances then, is that?
Yes.
It's given some, okay. Right, let's just move on to the next point. So it is recognised that the poorest and most vulnerable parts in Britain are disproportionately more likely to find themselves in touch with the criminal justice system. So the Broadwater Farm estate we could say is one of the deprived areas in North London. And that's probably why criminal activities happen, because there are not enough resources, there are not enough community centres, there are not enough engagement for the youth. Is that correct? Because I mean, you both have lived there. Do you think it's a valid point that it's deprived?
I think, yes and no, because the community centre's always been there. There's always been activities, but to be honest with you, I believe it's upbringing.
That's important. Okay, so there's a point. So nearly a decade now. There was a publication which was done in 2009, and it was by the Centre for Social Justice, so the CESJ. So it says that gangs have remained a part of Britain. At the time, there were estimated 50,000 gangs in UK. But today, this has gone up roughly to 70,000 gangs. That is literally like an army. So that is a lot. 70,000, that's approximately gangs has been recorded to be in London. And the police also estimates that there are up to 250 to 4,500 gang members, which is a lot. So literally it looks like every one of us looks like a gang member. So while gangs are not all responsible for all serious offences, they commit the fair share of criminal activities. It is estimated that gangs are responsible for as much as half of all knife crime, injury, 60% of shootings, and 29% of reported child sexual exploitations, which is serious, because now we don't really talk about females being in gangs, females being exploited. But me personally working for the YMCA, I've seen that a lot of these gang members, the male gang members, they use the females to cover up. So holding, drugs or holding weapons, you see that. So what any experience on, young females, Joseph?
First of all, I'm going to come and start with the gang situation, right? So the system classifies a gang as 2 or 3, a group of 3. Once there's a group of 3, so for us now, if it was a group of 3 walking outside and dressed a specific way, the police will classify us as a gang. So that's why there's so many high numbers of gangs, etc. Now, in terms of the females, I believe females are very vulnerable, especially if they come from a household without a father. Because for a lot of the females, they want to get into a crowd. For example, there might be a group of boys in a specific area, and the boys dominate that specific area. So for a female, you might want to hang out with the coolest boy, because in society, a woman always wants a man who is classified as a lead and an alpha male. So the female would obviously want to be with the alpha male, and then the men manipulate the situation because they understand they have the power to, and they groom the women and they use them for sexual favours, for holding drugs, holding money, etc. Due to the women being ignorant. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your contribution. So we're just about to wrap up. So just going to start with Bishop. So, in summary, what do you think needs to change, what needs to happen? I mean, as a community leader, which you've been organising forums, I think you've got one upcoming, you want to talk about it as part of the community, what can we do to, you know, reduce gun and knife crime and build our communities, you know, together? In your own summary, what would you say?
What I have to say that everybody is important. No child was born to be a criminal. And the police too, they're not 100% efficient. When I became a chair of the residence, that's why I said to the police, the youth, they are human beings. Deal with them. I open up. Communication is very important. You know, when I came to Broadway, I felt that there was no communication between the police and the community. So that's always, there was violence and violence. But when we started talking, we saw that there's positive trend that's coming out. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without plan. So always let us come together, let's communicate, let's understand everybody. Everybody is important. According to the women, as you said, the youth and the ladies, the girls and everything. The society welcomes everybody, but everybody also can calm down. Everybody can be groomed. Everybody, because I used to tell the youth that you don't have money to import drugs and everything into this country. You have been a victim of what is happening. But God is so good. God is so good that everything is working fine. So what I just want to say that let us communicate. Let's understand everybody. We can make a change. Everybody can change. We have changed, so there can be a change.
Thanks for your contribution, Bishop. So Joseph, to summarise, what would you say, you know, as a young person that's been in the system and now you're actively, you know, trying to, you know, help a lot of young people as well, what would you say?
I think the most important thing, for example, I can only speak for myself and a lot of young men I know, is finding purpose. I believe for a lot of these young men and young women, they have no sense of actual purpose, so therefore they live their lives anyhow. They wake up in the morning knowing either just being a product of the environment that they live in, because they only can see as far as they can see. So if you can only see your everyday situation, then it's very hard for you to want to change it or believe in the change. But I believe once they find purpose within themselves, find someone to mentor them, because you need a father figure, you need the older brother, older sister. Once you have a mentor who's been where you've been and can relate to you, then you're most likely willing to want to listen to them. Do you understand? And then you see life in a completely different way. But until the young men and young women start finding purpose and knowing exactly what they want to do themselves and finding a route or someone to take them to the route, then they will never be out of this situation, because they will continue to be a product of the environment, because they are living exactly what they see every single day. So for me, to summarize it, it's finding purpose, changing your philosophy in terms of your mindset, the people you hang around with, the things you see, the things you do, because they contribute to who you are today and the choices that you make.
Thank you.